Mate, if you ain't getting this one, then this one's for you.
What's up, guys, and welcome back to EME TV. Now today, as you can see by the title, we're talking about categorized cars. Yes, so it's actually a common question that I get asked from sort of family, friends, and even watchers of this channel, is that what is actually the difference from, you know, categorized cars? What do you think? Would you stay away? We know you've had them, but you know, how has your experiences been behind closed doors? And I thought I'd take a deep dive into the cars that I've had. And funny enough, most of the cars that I've actually had in my ownership, or that I've had it for a decent amount of period, have all been categorized. I've never had a HPI clear car unless I've bought that car to trade on. I've actually never bought a HPI clear car, and I've used it in sort of for personal use. So today I'll be running through cars that I've had, and in addition, I'll let you guys know what my thoughts about how you should sort of make your decision when trying to buy a car, whether categorized or HPI clear. But without further ado, let's get into it. And before I do get into speaking about categorized cars, if you guys haven't subscribed already, please subscribe down below. It will help the channel out, and also click that like button because it will do the channel a world of good. But let's get into it. So the first car I ever bought for myself was, in fact, shock, a Honda. I bought a Honda Civic Type S, and this car's actually been featured on the channel quite a while ago, sometime last year or the year before. And yeah, that car served me brilliantly. I bought the car for £1,000. At the time, it was very, very cheap. For the mileage of the car, I bought it with, I believe, 88,000 miles on the clock. But although I got it cheap because it was categorized, and it was a category C car, I believe. This was before sort of the change into category S and N. So it was a number of years ago that the car was actually damaged and written off by the insurer. I never, because of how seamless and timeless the car was, I never actually got round to checking to see, you know, or asking a previous owner, look, do you have pictures of the damage? Or even trying to check for myself on various websites. Because the car was so faultless and I never had any problems with it, the only one problem I had was when I put it through an MOT, it failed because one of the headlight bulbs was gone. Got a new bulb, and that was done. Ever since then, I did about 9,000 miles in a year. I only had the car for a year. I think I did about 9,000 miles and sold it on to the next owner, and hopefully it's still going strong. So that was my first sort of encounter into the categorized sort of field, into categorized market, and that was a very, very good experience. So what I thought was, these categorized cars, why are people scared? You know, why are people really scared? Following on from that, the next car I had was a Renault Clio. I had a Renault that I used for personal use anyway. It was a Renault Clio Expression, I believe they're called. Expression with it was the diesel variant. So I had the 1.5 litre diesel engine. This car, I bought this car for trade. However, I used it for about 2-3 months because I was going back and forth from London at the time, and I thought, you know what, this is a diesel car, why not use this, and it's going to be very cheap on fuel. Use that, and it was great. I featured this car on the channel, however, it did let me down one time in London, and I threw my toys out the pram and was like, yeah, this car's the worst ever. But overall, the experience was actually good. It was decent. The car did exactly what I wanted it to do and what I needed it to do. And in addition, the car actually had, when I bought it, 164 or 165,000 miles, something like that. And I sold it with 167,000 on the clock. Funny enough, I know a lot of you out there who are probably watching this video would not touch such a car. But that car was faultless. Great driving. Imagine the mileage I was doing, because I'm actually based in Manchester now. So going back and forth from London at the time, I mean, easily in a couple of months I did near enough, I don't know, a London trip and back is probably around 400 miles. So let's say three of that is 1,200 plus the driving inside town and stuff. Probably anywhere between, you know, 1,300 and 1,400 miles, and that's not bad. That's not bad. And I never had a problem apart from the time when the battery died and it was just a palaver for me in London. But you know, with a car with nearing the 200k mark, you're gonna expect something like that to just creep up anyway. So at the end of the day, that was overall a decent experience. And I can't really, I mean, I bought the car, I believe I bought that car for like 280 or 300 quid. So going back and forth from London as well, it did the job. The next car I actually had, which was categorized, was a car which was also featured on the channel. A car I bought from Copart. It was a Vauxhall Astra. I bought this car badly damaged from Copart. It was actually a category S car, and Luckily enough, at the time, my mechanic was actually about to scrap a Astra which was the same colour. So at the time, I bought all the parts that I needed off him, so it was a quick turnaround to actually get the car back on the road. Now, following that, I actually had the car for, I believe, about 8 or 9 months, and it was completely fine. I took the risk on this car because it was low mileage. I bought the car from Copart with 84,000 miles. So I didn't really have, I didn't think it was too much of a risk. And in the photos as well, before buying, I've got a video on it where I spoke about it, but yeah, the engine was ticking over and so on, and there were not too many lights on the dash. So I thought, you know what, why not take the risk? And I did, and I got it for fairly cheap, and it served me well for the 8-9 months I had it. Put it through MOT, that it passed with flying colours as well. So it just tells you that when you do buy a car that is categorised, it can be good. So don't just write off categorised cars, please. Anyway, before I even talk about this, let's move on to the next car. The next car I had after that was a Nissan Micra. I never documented this on the channel. It was just a car that I had bought from Copart and quickly sold on. 2008, 2009, 1.2 litre engine, really nice, really clean, and it was category N car. But the reason that it was category N is because it'd been in sort of a small front end dink, and I think it was the small indicator light and the bumper needed a bit of fixing. Did that in a day, and it was fine. It was driving fine. It had about 88 on the clock, quite low mileage as well. And I say low mileage, some people are going to be like, 88,000 is not low, but I mean, I've had cars which are over 200k, so for me that's low mileage. But in the context of things, it does depend on the age of the car and so on and so forth. But hey ho, that was low mileage for me, and it was completely fine. Drove it for 2 months in and around town, and it was bang on. So what my message is, or what I'm actually trying to get across in this video, is that when you are buying a car, it all depends on, 1, the person, 2, probably the price of the car, because all the cars that I've spoken about in this video are all cars under, about 3k. So it's a very, very different when you're speaking about cars which are 10k plus. When you reach that 10, 20, you do start taking into account, okay, category, what sort of accident was it in, and has the person actually fixed it properly? Big question. What I like to do, and because I do have access to this, is obviously, since I'm a membership at Copart, probably some of you are, and if you aren't, I don't think it's too difficult to. I buy the cars crashed already, so I know the damage when I'm buying them, and when fixing them, I know what I've put on that car if I want to keep it for myself. So let's say if I'm buying a Ford Fiesta, crash damaged, I've bought it crash damaged, so I know exactly, okay, I'm gonna fix this panel, I'm gonna fix a wing, I'm gonna fix this back bumper, I'm gonna get it rid. So I know whether I've bought that car, I know with the parts that I've bought, whether it's new, used, and I feel like when you do it that way, you get a bit more peace, I should say, because you're the one in control of whatever's happening with that car, whether you put new parts or old parts on it, and you know whether the work has been carried out well or not, because you know who you're giving the car to actually conduct the work needed, whether it's bodywork, as I just said, or engine and mechanical work. Now, when you are buying a car already categorized from another person, it then sort of brings to question, has this been fixed properly? You didn't do it. Okay, do you have pictures? Sometimes they don't have pictures, so it's like, okay, do I really want to get the risk? And I do get why people don't want to delve into it. However, a lot of these cars that I've bought, my first car that I bought anyway, the one I used, the Honda Civic, at the time I never asked for pictures and so on. Now I would, but back then I didn't. And I maybe was 1 in a million to get lucky, I don't know, or it's just a normal thing for me, sort of. But then again, using Honda when it's so reliable is not a great example. However, I think I'm just blabbing on. The message that I want to get across, guys, is when you're buying a car, don't be too scared to actually go and get the go and see or be interested in those categorized cars with a category S and N. I think, and between the two, I think obviously category S is worse because it's actually structural damage. Cat N cars, some Cat N cars I've got can be anything from scratches. Like, it does really depend. So when I do see Cat N, I never really get scared, rarely ever. Cat S is a bit more serious, obviously. So each to their own, each to their own. I would say just do whatever makes you comfortable. But the reason for I did this video was for those of you out there who are actually thinking about buying a new car and have possibly seen a car, but it's just got that little circle there or that little description saying Cat N or Cat S, and you're just not happy with that. I'm just trying to make you realise that there is good to category cars, and you can actually get yourself a very good bargain just because a car has been categorised, as I've literally explained in this video with the various cars that I've had. Without further ado guys, I don't want to bore you to death and start carrying on chatting absolute waffle. So with that being said, thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned for more content to come. Please comment as well your reasoning on why you probably wouldn't or would go into categorised cars, if you would or wouldn't, and please subscribe to the channel if you sort of like this content. I've got a lot more coming as well. And yeah, I've got an announcement as well that I'm going to be sharing probably in the next video or the one after. I'm not too sure yet, but we'll see. Keep your eyes peeled for that. But guys, thanks a lot for watching. Stay tuned for more content to come. Please like, comment and subscribe if you haven't already, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.
Mate, if you ain't getting this one, then this one's for you.